One of the most limiting beliefs you can have in your life is to think, who am I to assert my opinion? Who am I to think that I'm right? Or even this kind of, who am I to even trust that my opinion or my truth is truth? Like, there's often a giving up your kind of, that listening to your intuition, your gut, and your soul, and going along with someone else's idea for your life. And this happens in various ways. I mean, this happens when when you're a kid and you fall down and your parents say, "Oh, you're okay," even though you think, "I feel pain. I have a scabbed knee," and they're like, "Oh, you're okay. Keep going." And that's a moment of when you're learning, my reality can be dictated by others, and you tend to be like, "Oh, well, my parents seem to know," and then there's this kind of a cognitive dissonance and kind of scramble in there where you think, well, I guess I'm wrong. I guess trusting my gut is not the right thing. And of course, that's not just from that example, but millions of examples that you go through to the point where you just kind of start to trust others or trust authority ahead of your own. And school teaches you that. School teaches you trust the teachers' interpretation of this event, trust the history book writer's interpretation of the event. Even the Bible is a big exercise in just accept this without question. When I was reading the Bible, I'd always think, well, there's a writer behind this, and there could be a group of writers, and there could be people that are embellishing or doing things in order for people to think higher of them, even though they're an unknown. But there's always going to be a fallibility to any human's point of view. And that means their point of view is no more valid than yours. Like, you certainly should take in, oh, this authority says that's interesting, but also don't just override your own instinct to agree with it. And that's the same with, when your parents are telling you, go to law school, go become an engineer, become a doctor, become these things to be high status, get in the 9 to 5, beg people for your job. It's like, no, I don't have to do that. I could actually, if I start from age 15 and I'm thinking, how will I open my own business? Think of how much further I'll get in this grid, and think of how much autonomy and independence I'd have if that was the emphasis. But instead, we're all just kind of locked into authorities telling us what to do, and they're often just responding to the authorities that told them what to do. And the very few people that break out of that tend to be very successful because they just thought differently. They thought of a way to make money differently. They got out of the control grid faster. They had a trust in their own vision and their own opinion above giving that away to some other person or authority. And sometimes it is, I don't think it's good to just always think that everything you think is infallible and correct. I think it's just use your discernment with your own judgment, but use just as much discernment with that authority. People tend to have more criticism toward themselves and what they think, and who am I to have an opinion or write that or think that, than they do. They don't offer that same level of evaluation toward the authority. They tend to kind of overestimate an authority and underestimate themselves. And one of the lessons that I'm supposed to even learn as my kind of soul purpose, as told by my North Node, is I am supposed to get out of this constantly giving away my power or thinking about others, and getting into this Aries North Node, which means to be confident in my own self and assert myself and express myself. And when you have a North Node, for context on that particular life journey and how you can learn about what that means and what its opposite is, I have a whole video on that explaining North Nodes. And the thing is that we kind of have certain proclivities that we have in our personality that are we know what is our comfort zone, and we know what is something that's really hard for us to do. And a lot of people, this isn't just certain signs, but a lot of people it's way easier for them to trust someone else. And it's also actually a freedom of responsibility, because then if you do have a problem, you can always say, well, I listened to this person, that's their fault. Or I listened to society, oh, society's corrupt. But the responsibility of saying, hey, I own up to my failure or problem with listening to myself, that's a little bit scarier to do, because then you're just opening yourself up to the criticism and the failure, but then it's all on you. It's not that you were following the herd and that, they were wrong. And that's a big reason why people do actually, it's a subconscious motivation, but that's why they often secretly do like to have that, well, this person told me to go to law school and I hated it the whole time, and then now I'm in this. And it's like, well, it's like almost a kind of way of saying, well, I did what I was supposed to. I did what I was supposed to, and I hate it, and it's society's fault, or it's this person's fault who encouraged it. It's like, no, it's your fault, because you've got to have some responsibility in life. You've got to start trusting yourself more, and also you'll find that actually taking responsibility for your life and decisions, and even taking those riskier steps in terms of, well, this is what I want to do, even if it's not what society or the authority says, that's far more, that taking responsibility gives you far more of a meaningful life. And being self-aware enough to realize when you should listen to what your gut's saying and not just always be listening to what the social conditioning's saying. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. Have a good day.